right, welcome in, guys. Fun show today. Something we've not done on the channel before is a college basketball show. Obviously, been covering it here at Patreon as well as Roto Pros before, which was last year. Had sheets for the full 2 years now, covering it in the chat and everything. But glad to hop on here. Fun show coming up today. Bracket breakdown. Really something that I've wanted to do last year, just didn't get the time to do it. Man, did we have an awesome March last year. DFS was very strong, had some bets, hit Oral Roberts and rode them early in the tournament. Both DFS and betting hit them against Ohio State and kind of rode them on. So hopefully we can find that gem this year. It's not, there's a lot of tough matchups, I think, in this first round. So I'm going to kind of show you what our content is going to look like for the week. Something that we're going to continue to do all the way through the tournament is the betting sheet. And if you look here, this is free for everyone this week and all the way through the tournament. Has updated odds from DraftKings Sportsbook on there, along with some team stats, efficiency, rebounds, assists, everything that is on the DFS sheet on the team page. And then you also have the team records in conference, home, road, overall, Vegas odds there, total. And we will be highlighting our favorite plays each round of the tournament. You can see we already got a couple highlighted there, and possibly the over-under as well, which is why I added that column. Just a nice little cheat sheet. You can go on here and just get some quick info if you need it. You're trying to make a last pick of your bracket on Wednesday night or Thursday morning, or if you're looking for some bets throughout the tournament, we will be tracking the bets all the way here at the bottom. You can see I've got a few highlighted. None are locked in yet, but we'll keep a tournament record all the way through, just like last year. Going to be a fun one. I mean, I'm pumped for March. It's always one of my favorite weeks of the year, this first weekend of the tournament. So what we're going to do in today's show is I'm going to go through a bracket, and we're going to fill it out as we go, kind of. Just kind of a quick thoughts. It's not going to be my final only bracket I make, but it's going to be something just you can use as a cheat sheet, get some ideas on what I'm thinking right now as of Monday night for these matchups and who I think could make a run through this tournament. You're always going to have that Cinderella team that makes a run. So hopefully we can find that this year and avoid the landmines of maybe some of these high seeds that get knocked out early. Not getting work done on Thursday or Friday, definitely not. Last year it was kind of weird because the first round didn't start till Friday, and that was a lot different than normal. Used to that Thursday, Friday for the first round, and then Saturday, Sunday, second round, which is what we're back to this year. So we get the 2 full days of having to try to work and keep up with our brackets and DFS teams and all that good stuff. But let's hop right in. We're going to start in the West bracket. If you guys have any questions on specific matchups, I'm going to try to touch on pretty much each and every one of these first-round matchups. But if you have a specific question about anything, DFS, betting, bracket strategy, whatever it may be, just drop it in the chat, and I'll be sure to get to it. Dustin over here is saying, "Go Buckeyes." He's probably not going to like what I have to say about the Buckeyes when I get to them. They were kind of a team that we hopped against last year against Oral Roberts, and I think they're kind of built the same way this year as far as good on offense and not so great on defense. But let's hop right in. West bracket or West region, we do have Gonzaga, Georgia State is that first matchup. Gonzaga, the 1 seed in the West, and then the 2 seed you've got Duke. So pretty tough little group there as far as the 1-2 seeds. Overall, I think the middle of these seeds in this region are not very tough. I think a couple are going to get bounced out early. Arkansas and Yukon, I think, are on massive upset watch here. Texas Tech is a physical team. They're kind of built for March, in my opinion. Looked pretty good in the Big 12 tournament. I think they can have a solid start to the tournament this year. But if you look, obviously, we're going to be picking Gonzaga. I think they are made to make a nice little run, Elite Eight or Final Four this year. Boise State, Memphis. Now that is going to be a nice little matchup there, 8-9 matchup. If you look at the odds on that one, we do have a -2.5 favorite for Memphis at this time. I actually lean the other side. I know Memphis looked pretty good in their conference tournament, got hot. They're getting hot at the right time of the year, but I think Boise State, tough defensive team, going to slow the game down. I think that presents a tough matchup for Memphis. So I'm going to lean with Boise State. And going into that second round of 32 there, I think they could potentially give Gonzaga a game if they slow things down and make it tough on the Zags. But, I don't think they eventually pull that out. So I'm going to go ahead and put Gonzaga in the Sweet 16. Now, if you move down to this next group, Yukon and New Mexico State, I think New Mexico State has a very good chance to knock off Yukon here. The one problem with that is Yukon is usually pretty good defensively, and this can go one of two ways. So New Mexico State is led by a guy who absolutely chucks shots up, and that is Teddy Allen. He's the kind of guy that if he can get some shots going down early, they could just pull away and lead this game by 5 to 10 all game, and UConn's going to be in major trouble. Teddy Allen could be a guy that he could lead this team maybe to the Sweet 16 and be kind of that March getting buckets guy, like Max Asmus last year was kind of that guy for Oral Roberts. I think we could see that from Teddy Allen as long as he gets hot early on. So who's the UMBC this year? We'll get to some. I think there are some potential matchups of even higher seeds than these 5-12s, 4-13s. We'll get to those here in a bit. New Mexico State every year and they lose. I'm not picking them this year, so they'll win. It's definitely a tough matchup, but I think it just comes down to is that shot falling. They're 7-point underdogs here, 131.5 total. So it's just a matter of if Teddy Allen can get hot, and that's kind of what I like to ride in March, or teams that have guys who can just get hot, take over games, and single-handedly take a team a couple rounds. So New Mexico State's going to be one of my probably my favorite 12 seed if you look at the matchup and what I think they can do. Moving on to the next part of this bracket, you've got Vermont, who is pretty experienced in March. You've got guys like Ryan Davis, who we know from last year, Chattanooga. I hope I'm saying that right, senior. Both seniors this year. They were in the tournament last year, pretty experienced, and they get a team in Arkansas who, yes, they have some playmakers in J.D. Note, Jalen Williams, but I think this team could definitely give them fits. A 4-13 matchup, and if you look at the odds, I'm pretty sure, yes, only 5-point underdogs here for Vermont. They are one of my top picks for sure. I highlighted them on the sheet. I like them as 5-point underdogs. I think their money line was about plus 180, plus 175. So I like both of those numbers for sure. Have not, like I said, not locked anything in yet. I'll be doing that either tonight or tomorrow, locking in the first couple bets. And I think this could be one of those scenarios where we get a 12-13 matchup. And with Vermont and New Mexico State. And what that leads to is, again, a much easier matchup coming into the second game where it's a complete toss-up for Teddy Allen. And I think he can really ride them to this Sweet 16. So, yes, if you're making it's kind of like a DFS team. If you're multi-entering and making tons and tons of brackets, this is not a team that I would pick in every one. But, there's crazy stuff that happens all year. You have to pick upsets. You cannot just completely pick the higher seeds in every single matchup and think you're going to have any chance to win a pool, no matter what the size is. Or have any chance at winning one of these massive ones on like ESPN or something like that. You got to pick some upsets. You got to pick your spots. And I think this is going to be one of them for me, a 12-13 matchup in the second round. And I think New Mexico State can roll, like I said, if they get hot, to the Sweet 16, and then they're going to run into the Zags. So moving down to the second portion of this region, you've got Alabama. They're going to play the winner of the play-in game with Rutgers and Notre Dame. I believe they play, it's either Tuesday or Wednesday, but they play Wednesday night, Notre Dame and Rutgers. I really, really like Rutgers in that matchup against Notre Dame. Notre Dame has struggled through the end of this year. Rutgers just matches up well inside. Oi Murray, I think, is going to feast on this Notre Dame defense. I really like Rutgers to come out of that. Obviously, we'll know as far as making brackets who's playing who. If Notre Dame beats Rutgers, I think Alabama will win that game. But, if Rutgers is able to knock out Notre Dame, I think we could see an upset there as well. Rutgers matches up well against this Alabama team. We've been playing these bigger, the inside pieces, the front court of teams against Alabama all year. Alabama is either very good or very bad. They are one extreme to the other from game to game. That is not set up well for the tournament. That is something else that I could see in like a North Carolina saying about them. But, in this scenario, I think Alabama could get upset by Rutgers. So it really just depends for me who gets through that play-in game, whether it's Notre Dame or Rutgers. I will not play Notre Dame, and I will definitely pick Rutgers for an upset. I mentioned Texas Tech early on there. I think they are kind of built for this, built for March, and I'm going to ride them as the 3 seed here. Davidson and Michigan State. That's an interesting matchup. We've had Davidson on some DFS slates through the year. Michigan State is only a 1-point favorite. They have got some better guard play recently, has Michigan State. Davidson is a team that can shoot the ball very well. They have some stretch guys in the front court as well. I think you can definitely pick Davidson for the upset. And I think that's what I'm going to do here. So, this is kind of a region that I'm picking a lot of upsets in the first round. It's not going to be like this in every single region for me. But Davidson I like, and Duke, I'm not picking them to lose to Cal State Fullerton. But we have seen them do this a couple times before as a 2 seed. So it's possible, I guess. Going to finish out, and I'm not going to spend as much time as I have on these first round matchups throughout the rest of the bracket. I think that's what we end up doing a lot, though, is spending tons and tons of time on these first round matchups. And then, what actually means something in the brackets when you get later on is if you have the teams in the Final Four, if you have a team that can win the national championship, because in pretty much every pool, those championship winners and Final Four winners are definitely going to carry much more weight than these first round matchups. So it's really just all about getting the teams that make the run if you want to win your pool. If you look at Rutgers, or I'm saying it's Rutgers because, like I said, I would pick Alabama if it's Notre Dame, but matching up against Texas Tech, I think I have to go Texas Tech here. And I don't think Davidson has anything for Duke at this point. So we do have the one Cinderella in this region that I'm picking, and they're going to run into Gonzaga, and I don't think they have anything for them. But this is where I think Duke can get knocked out. They have really not shown up very much recently. They got trashed by Virginia Tech. Shout out Hokies. In the ACC tournament last week. They struggled, against North Carolina, losing the last game of the regular season. They really only skirted by the game before Virginia Tech. I'm blanking on who they played in that quarterfinal, but or in the semifinal. But I just don't think Duke has the pieces of a guy that can take over a game. I think Texas Tech matches up pretty good with them, so I'm going to ride Texas Tech. And then in that Final Four, who goes to the Final Four? I think that's a toss-up when you get to that point with Texas Tech and Gonzaga. I think, Texas Tech matches up pretty good with them. Gonzaga is not a team that likes a physical game, and Texas Tech is going to do that to a team. And I'm going to go ahead and pick them to go to the Final Four over Gonzaga. But, obviously like Gonzaga either way there. Let's see if there's any questions. Yeah, it definitely, could be an issue. The free throws and that is a major portion of what wins you games in March is hitting those free throws. So yes, it could go horribly wrong, but I'm going to ride them and hope they can get that figured out. Let's go over to the South region. We've got Arizona as the 1 seed over there. 2 seed is Villanova, which is one of the weaker, probably the weakest 2 seed in my opinion. So Arizona gets a nice little path here, at least to the Elite Eight. I had a question in the chat from, I think it was Erica, asking about UAB as the 12 seed against Houston. UAB, is probably, if you look at just the 12 seeds, probably the strongest 12 seed in the tournament. But they get maybe the toughest matchup. If you look at the other fives, you've got Iowa, who's hot, and St. Mary's. But Houston's a tough matchup for a lot of teams, and I really just don't think they can knock them off. I mean, this could definitely happen, but I'm going to ride Houston in that one. Arizona, I think they easily get to the Sweet 16. In this 8-9 matchup with Seton Hall and TCU, Seton, it's an absolute pick 'em. And if you look at KenPom, and that's a site that probably some of you are familiar with, kind of has a prediction of certain of all games. They have Seton Hall 66-65. I think it's going to be a very, very close game. It's going to come down to if TCU can stop those guards for Seton Hall with Richmond and company. So we'll see how that goes. I lean TCU here. Damian Ball, I think, can get it done for them. And then they're just going to run into Arizona, who's not going to lose to either one of those teams, I don't think. Playing good at the right time. If you look at Illinois and Chattanooga, this is a very interesting matchup. We saw the Chattanooga buzzer beater, the conference championship game. It was kind of an awesome in there. They do have some size inside to match up with Kofi Coburn. I think that's kind of the tough deal. If you think of teams that have success in March, usually I like to go towards the guard teams that have very, very good guards. And if you look at Illinois, yes, they have some talent there. Have kind of been banged up all year. That rotation has changed around a little bit with Curbelo in and out. He seems to be back now. I think there is potential for a Chattanooga upset there. Let me check what the odds are. Chattanooga 7.5-point dogs. It's just a matter of can they stop Kofi Coburn? I mean, he could, and I think they possibly could, but he's a matchup nightmare for anybody. I'm going to lean toward Chattanooga here just as an upset pick. Something else you got to think about when you're building out your brackets, if you're in a pool, is kind of what is everybody else doing? It's kind of like DFS too. I mean, you want to have leverage on the field. So there's places that I think you have to take some leverage teams, and I think Chattanooga could be one of those there. So Colorado and Michigan, I do think Houston jumps past Chattanooga in the next round, though. Like I said, tough matchup. Sorry. Colorado and Michigan, did not think Michigan was getting in. They absolutely gave a lot of props to the Big Ten this year. I don't think Michigan is very good. Hunter Dickinson obviously will lead this team. Devontae Jones as well. I don't think they have anything to make a run in this tournament. I'm going to go ahead and pick Colorado State to knock them off early on here. And then Tennessee gets a fairly tough matchup for a 14 seed, but I love Tennessee. I loved them before they won the conference tournament, going in through the end of the regular season. It was a team that I was pretty high on, wanted to kind of go ahead and bet, ended up not doing it to win the whole thing. So I'm definitely on Tennessee here to get to the Sweet 16. But they, like I said, they do have a fairly tough first round matchup with Longwood that maybe they give them a little scare early on, maybe a little tougher than they expect, and they can kind of push through that and then be ready to go from there. Ohio State, actually an underdog in the betting markets. It's kind of a thing with Ohio State. They've got Liddell, who is obviously their main guy inside. He can get things going for sure. Loyola Chicago is a team that can get hot as well, though. Beat San Francisco is kind of their premier win. This is obviously a step up in competition from what they're used to, but I think they can do it here. And Vegas likes them. I think they're -1 last time I looked. I just don't like where Ohio State's at right now coming into the tournament. And that's something that I definitely want to ride is hot teams coming into the tournament. I always think back to when we had Kemba Walker at Yukon. They weren't even going to make the tournament, I don't think, from what I remember. And they won the Big East at Madison Square Garden. I think they won 5 games in 5 days, won that, and then went on to take the national championship. And that was something that always sticks with me, and is always something that I want to ride out. Are these hot teams coming into the tournament? And conversely, the opposite side with Ohio State, and Dustin is just sitting here laughing hard at me. And Villanova, I think they will get through there, and I think their guard play will carry them through to the Sweet 16. And if you look at, so I'm a lot chalkier here. If you look at Arizona, Houston, I think you're definitely getting Arizona through there. Houston, I think they can get to the Sweet 16, but they've had a lot of injuries this year. If they were completely healthy, I think it's a different story. I think they could definitely push and make a deep run in this tournament. Tennessee, I think I would take every day over Villanova here, and I like Tennessee going to the Final Four. Like I said, that's going to be a barn burner there. That Tennessee defense going up against Arizona. Got 2 3 seeds in right now in just this bracket. So never know what you're going to get here. But I'm going to take a break 1 second. I need some water. Call the tourney. I don't know which. I guess Tennessee maybe is what you're talking about. I'm going to get a water, and I'll be right back, guys. All right. Phew. This is when Chris comes in handy here. We can kind of bounce things back and forth, and I don't have to talk the whole time. So that's a lot better than me mumbling. I'm sure it's a lot better for you all. COVID can't beat dang. Yeah, it was a few weeks ago. That was kind of brutal. East region, Baylor 1 seed, Kentucky 2 seed. This is a very, very interesting region here. And obviously Virginia Tech is in this region. They're my team. I'm trying really hard not to give bias, but after watching them last week, they completely fit the bill of a team that is gonna make a run in this tournament. And yes, before last week, I didn't think Storm Murphy could be a guy that could give us a run in the tournament if we got in. He played dang good in that ACC tournament. Keve Aluma, Justin Mutz, they are a force inside. If Hunter Couture shoots anything like he did against Duke, I mean, we're going to be very, very dangerous. Naheem Aline has got to get going a little bit. Maddox showed his upside through the ACC tournament. So I really, really think that they can make a run in this thing, whether that's Sweet 16 or deeper. I don't know, but I really do think they can make a run. Baylor, I do think clears. We're going to have, and if you look at KenPom, they have a metric called thrill score. So that's kind of like what they expect to be best game of the day. And on day one of the tournament, this game is expected. I think it was right up there. Let me get it pulled up. North Carolina. It's right up there with one of the best as far as according to their thrill score on day one of games. So I think we're going to see a pretty close one here. North Carolina, I'm pretty sure it's favored. Yeah, by 3 points, 151.5 total. So, one of the higher in the tournament. We're going to see back and forth here in this one. I think Carolina can pull it out. But it's going to be very close. I'm not sure. Texas going to rout them? No. All right, Dustin, no. I'm going to have to ban you from the chat for even saying that. Feels like Syracuse year they lost to Vermont. No, what is going on? No. All right, this is not bias. I promise you. You got to ride the hot teams. This team is, they've never won an ACC tournament. They're playing their best at the right time. I think they've won 12 out of the last 14. After struggling middle of the year, they're fire hot at the right time. I mean, this is a team that you want. Texas has kind of, stumbled in just a little bit. I just don't know. They should have been a lot better than they were this year. All right, right here. I'm picking the Hokies. I don't even know who they're going to play in the second round. Hokies to the Sweet 16. All right. How you like that? All right. I'm going to go ahead and pick North Carolina. I think Baycott's just going to be too much. He's got to take over these games, though. He disappeared a little bit in that game against Tech. I mean, he was involved. Even against Virginia, they didn't need him, but they're going to need him in this tournament if they want to get even through the first weekend for sure. I do not think they beat Baylor, but Baylor is probably the weakest one seed out of the four. So that there's potential there for North Carolina. I just don't think they can get it done. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Baylor to get to the Sweet 16 second weekend. St. Mary's is going to play the winner of the tomorrow night's game with Indiana and Wyoming. I think Indiana is going to be too much for Wyoming here. Indiana playing a little better coming into the tournament. St. Mary's is always a tough team, though. That's going to be a very, very close game. I'm going to go St. Mary's. I think they can get through for sure if they can control that game. It's all about the guard play again, though, for Indiana. I mean, we know what we're getting in the front court with Trace Jackson Davis and Race Thompson. Very tough inside on defense. It's all going to come down to Xavier Johnson and that group in the backcourt. So UCLA and Akron. UCLA obviously made the deep run from the 11 seed play-in game last year. Johnny Juzang has been a little bit banged up, but he played in the Pac-12 tournament, but didn't look like himself completely. I do think they get by Akron here, and they could even make a little run in the tournament. This is an interesting kind of portion right here that I think it's fairly wide open because it's comes down to in this first round, the 4 and 5 seed. Yes, they could lose, but I don't think they do. But either one of those could win. I don't think I could have pictured one of those teams even I would have liked to picked against UCLA, is what I'm saying in short. And I don't know if I can do it here. And then I would have liked to pick against Baylor, but we didn't get a great matchup to pick against them in this top portion of this region. So I'm going to go UCLA versus Baylor there. And, um, I don't love UCLA, but it's just where do they go out? Probably there to Baylor. Look at Yale and Purdue. So this is a game that Juzang is primed to explode. I mean, he's definitely can do it. It's just a matter of fact if he's healthy, if he can get it going. So I think he definitely can. It's there for sure. If you look at this Yale Purdue game, so I think this is a much more interesting matchup than it looks like on the surface. Purdue also obviously has the size inside Zach Edey, Trevion Williams. 16-point favorites here. That's a mismatch for Yale. Jaden Ivey obviously can get it going for Purdue as well in the backcourt. But Yale is another team playing pretty well right now. Their guard play can carry them. I think they can keep this closer than the spread. Do I think they win? Probably not. But I do think Yale can keep that inside the 16 and a half or 16 points right now. And they would move on to run into the juggernaut of the Hokies there in the second round. So short-lived tournament for Purdue there. Murray State and San Fran. This is, I believe, as far as the Kim Palm thrill score, this is the number one game on day one. It's a tough matchup for both teams. These are two teams that I would have liked to pick to go a little further in the tournament than I think they're going to be able to go. San Fran, we know them from some DFS slates with Bouye. Murray State is probably going to be a popular team with KJ Williams in that group, Tevin Brown. I think it's going to be very, very close. That's going to be the nightcap on the 17th, so Thursday night. Khalil Shabazz for San Francisco. It's going to be a very, very good game. I think I do lean Murray State here, but I've not made my final decision on that game at all. I lean Murray State, but very, very close and very good game. They're going to run in, unfortunately, to Kentucky. I think Kentucky is going to be tough for anybody because they have the combination of Toshibwe inside and the guard play. Ty Washington getting going lately. Going to be tough for anybody. So Kentucky, I think, rolls to the Sweet 16. And then they're going to get the matchup with the Hokies. Realistically, I don't think Tech can beat Kentucky. But this is a thing that, you got to pick your teams. You got to pick your spots. You got to pick upsets. So I could see picking the Hokies to win that game. I'm not going to do it here. But I think Kentucky can get to the Final Four. They're clicking at the right time. I think they get a nice little path there. If they can get past that second round game, whether they end up playing Purdue or Tech or whatever it is there, I think they can definitely get through that. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with in this tournament. Give me the Dons. Yeah. Like I said, I've not made my final decision on that. And it could go the other way for me than what I'm leaning right now with Bouye leading them. So take a shot of whatever you're sipping on. Vanderplas. We need Vanderplas. We do. He was our guy last year. We rode him, got him going a little bit for Ohio. It was a fun tournament last year. There was a lot of stories. Letty Brown. All right. We don't need to bring up Letty Brown on the college basketball show, but so moving on, last region, it's the Midwest. We've got Kansas as the 1 seed, Auburn is the 2. That they are very tough teams. It's going to be tough to knock either one of those out. Obviously, I'm going to pick Kansas here. that 8-9 matchup is tough. San Diego State is a tough matchup for whoever it is, even if they get through that first round and play Kansas. They are they're going to be a tough out. But Creighton, Creighton is playing very, very good right now. Kalkbrenner has got it going lately. They've got some guards that can get it going as well. I lean Creighton in that matchup, but it's going to be tough for them to knock out San Diego State and that defense for sure. I do lean Kansas. I think they are playing great at the right time. That's probably the one seed that may be playing the best outside them or Arizona, clicking at the right time. Then we go to the 5-12 and 4-13. Iowa, another team that's got hot at the right time. Obviously, they've struggled a little bit through the year, but they finally clicked with Keegan Murray here towards the end of the year. And then South Dakota State and Providence. This is an interesting one for me because I think South Dakota State is going to be very, very heavily picked. And it's actually probably going to go the other way. You know how I mentioned earlier that you got to pick some leverage. I think you could pick leverage by taking Providence here. I think we're going to go with Providence here for me. South Dakota State can score the ball, though. We had them last year in the tournament. We had them some early this year on some slates. Baylor Shireman can definitely get hot, and then they can knock out this Providence team. But I think that's going to be a trendy pick. So take that and do what you may with it. I'm going to go Providence for now here. Iowa State and LSU, another tough matchup to handicap for sure. Iowa State, let me see what the odds are on that one. They're 4-point dogs to LSU. I really, really think Iowa State wins this game. That's a stand that I'm going to be taking in this first round in this matchup. And it's in part to Isaiah Brockington, who I think is a guy that can get it going a lot. As you see here, LSU is a very, very young team. They lost a lot from last year, a lot of their experience. So Iowa State, I think, can definitely get it done here, led by Isaiah Brockington. Wisconsin, led by Johnny Davis. I think they're going to get through Colgate, but that's not an easy 3-14 matchup, kind of like Tennessee was. This is not an easy matchup for Wisconsin, but I do think they get through. USC Miami is, that's a very tough one as well. You've got USC, Isaiah Mobley. A lot of people are going to go, I think, on that side and say that Mobley is going to dominate Miami. I kind of like going to the other side and going with these Miami guards who can all get hot and going up against USC. I think that's a good matchup for them. So I like Miami and I like Auburn. And then I like Iowa State to make that run. Auburn, I think, beats Miami. Iowa, I think, gets through, rides their hot hand against Providence. And then we get here, and, I think does end up being Auburn and Kansas. And I think Auburn can get through here. Walker Kessler, Jabari Smith. I think this is a very, very good team. Probably one of the top couple favorites for me to win this thing is Auburn. And here in the Final Four, they would get to match up with Tennessee. SEC matchup, going to be tough. I do lean Auburn there. But, who knows? I think Tennessee could definitely knock them off. And I'm going to go with Kentucky there. So you got Kentucky and Auburn, another – 3 out of 4 SECs in that one. Now, that's a toss-up. I do lean Auburn. So there's where I'm going right here. That's where I lean early in the week. Obviously, things could change as far as brackets. I'm going to try to lock in some bets against the number and money lines throughout the next couple of days. the Midwest region, the bottom part of the train wreck. It really is, except for Auburn. I think they can definitely breeze through there. I think they get a pretty good matchup in the second round, and then they'll either way, whoever they play in that Sweet 16, I think they can get through there too. Any questions for me? I'm gonna probably hop off here. Been on here for the 40 minutes. Try not to get this close to an hour, but I did want to go through each and every region and each game and kind of just give initial thoughts on those for you. Be sure to check out the sheet. It's free. It's there's a link in the chat to that. There's a link to the free trial in Discord. Be sure to hop in there. That's where you'll get notified every time I do lock in a bet. And be sure to check us out if you want. As you can see across the bottom, patreon.com/Jagerbombs, $10 for one sport, $20 for all sports. We have tons and tons going on right now. My plan for college basketball in the tournament from here going forward is going to be to do a preview show for the DFS side every night, both probably Wednesday night, Thursday night for the next day's slate. Not going to do anything for these play-in games and the NIT deal that's going on here early in the week. But starting Wednesday night, it will be live. Not sure the time yet, but I'll try to get it up early enough so that if you can't catch it live, you can go back and watch up till lock. I will be in the chat. I will have the cheat sheets up as quick as I possibly can. I've been checking on and off if they've got checking if they have got pricing up periodically. They do have it up for tomorrow night. We will have a sheet for that. And I don't think they have it up still not up for Thursday slate. They did add in the contest that they'll be having. I mentioned in that there's some good contests as far as the single entry. They did this last year. They had the $6.40 single entry, and they had the $64 single entry every day, I think, of the tournament. At least the first weekend for sure. And then they had the 222 posted for Thursday, which is $10K to first, just like they had last year. Pretty much every day of the tournament as well. I think the $15 on Thursday is a $25K to first. Obviously, don't love playing in that tournament. Much more focus for me is on the whether you want to do $1.20 max or whatever the next level up of that is, or those single entry contests or the 222, which is limited to the 200 entries. I think we're in for an awesome tournament. As I kind of said this last year too, there's a lot of parity in college basketball right now. I think there's a lot of teams that can lose on any given night. Example, Duke and some other schools out there. And there's some teams that can show up and get hot and make a run to the Final Four. I think, it's kind of going to be a thing of, can we get on the team early that does so, makes that run, because it happens every year. It's going to happen. Let's see if we can do it again this year, like with Oral Roberts. But be sure to get in the chat. We'll be in there. There's a group in there pretty much every day discussing lines, and I'm sure we'll be discussing brackets more. My plan is to have a bracket challenge like we did last year. There's a group already made that we had for last year. We've not decided on an entry fee or how we'll be doing that yet. But be sure to join in the chat and maybe get in that. I've posted the password and the link to it in there already, so be sure to hop in there. It's through ESPN as well, so be sure to hop in there. So good luck to everybody this year. I will be back, like I said, Wednesday night, breaking down the first DFS slate, 16 games. Not sure if I'll go by position or by game yet for that 16 gamer, but I'm going to try to get the sheet up and start diving in as quick as I possibly can. Go Hawks. Okay. So be sure I will be around if you want to DM me questions, whatever it may be. Just feel free to reach out anytime over the next few days throughout the whole tournament. Good luck to everybody, and we'll see you in the Discord.